And welcome to the Prete Is On 92.1 The Team. It's your host, Dave Prete. And last week, we had comedian Dan Viola on our show, and we didn't get to finish the interview, so we're going to do part 2 this week with Dan, because he's got a lot of good stuff. This is a time, of course, with everybody quarantined and sitting in their house when we really could use a good laugh and we could use some humor, and Dan has been kind enough to call us on our studio line from Rochester and provide us with some of that humor. So, Dan, welcome back to the show. You were on last week.
Thanks. I've been on hold for a week here. Where have you been?
Hey, you know what? You're a good sport.
Oh, yeah, I got no else to go.
Dan, you actually have some experience in playing and coaching sports. So let's talk about that. You played hockey. You were actually a walk-on at Cornell University. Not Hornell, but Cornell. And you coached. Yeah, I know people get it messed up, and I don't know why, because there's really no similarity between the two whatsoever. And you've coached some youth sports as well. So tell me about your sports experience.
Yeah, you know what? At college, I played hockey all my life. But, like, again, over in Ithaca, that's a D1 program. And thanks to Coach Lou Raycroft, who was the head coach at the time, he allowed walk-ons to enter his program, and there was a JV team as well at that time. And I'm 17 years old. I'm at college for the first time. I weighed 135 pounds, and there I am at camp with some guys. A couple of them are going to the NHL, right? And thankfully, I survived. I think it was a miracle. I don't think anybody was really trying to run me out of the program because they just had sympathy on me because of my physical deficiencies. But one of the funny things is there was a big recruiting class. There was about 18 freshmen, which was one of the biggest classes, in the team. There was a lot of kids. And nobody knew who was going to be good. And there was a freshman in that class who turned out to be future NHL star and Hall of Famer, Joe Nieuwendyk. I mean, we had no idea that this kid was going to be that good. Nobody did, of course. And lucky me, I got to sit next to him in the locker room because they arranged this by talent. And that's a true story. They sat down. They started with Joe, they went around the room, and they ended with me. So I ended up right next to him. And a lot of those guys, funny thing also on this team, Dave, these guys didn't all make it through freshman year, let alone 4 years. There was like 8 of us by the end of senior year that were still with the hockey program there. But there was this one kid I remember. I got to tell you about this guy. His name was also Dave, and he was from Montreal. So he's this French-Canadian guy, and he thought he was like on a cruise ship. I mean, we're at college. It's very difficult. We're all beating our brains out academically, and he's partying all week long, every night. This kid's out all the time. And then the hockey season starts up, and of course, at the end of the semester, we didn't get that far into it when the report cards came out. And this kid's practically crying in the locker room holding his report card. He got 4 Fs and a D-. And the coach goes up to him and says, "Dave, I think I know your problem. You're spending too much time in that one subject." Semester ended, never saw that kid again, ever. I have no idea what happened to him.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I do know Scott Nieuwendyk. He was a tank, if I recall correctly, right?
Actually, he was a lacrosse player and hockey player. And he was actually kind of a long, slender guy with tremendous hand-eye coordination, great hockey sense. And he played, after his freshman year, they knew he was good. And then he was drafted by Calgary, and after junior year, Cornell gets knocked out of the playoffs, and a week later, he's in Calgary playing. And he's playing against Gretzky and Mark Messier and those Edmonton teams and stuff. I just actually saw a clip on YouTube the other night of those old Edmonton-Calgary Battle of Alberta games. But he stepped right into it and lasted in that league for 20 years.
That's amazing.
And amazingly, they edited out the part in his Hall of Fame speech where he was crediting me for a lot of the tips I gave him for helping him make the transition to college hockey. Huh. But I think, like, you have to know, sometimes you got to edit out some important stuff, like this interview here.
Yeah, you were very influential. I can imagine. Probably
told him how to run scared. That was my game.
Now, you also coached some youth hockey, and in particular,
yes,
your son's team. And from talking to you, I know that there was a situation that didn't end real well for you. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Oh, you had to bring that up, right? Now, I will tell you, I coached my oldest son for many years when he played. He's now 27. And then our middle child, who was our fourth child, also played hockey. So I started coaching him when he was young. But because I got to play and I got to see a lot of things, I've always tried to emphasize that it's not about winning, it's about fun, and I've always made fun of those kind of parents that really take it too far, and, there's 10,000 parents within an hour drive that think their kid is going to go to the NHL, and the numbers just don't bear that out. And most of us know that. So having said that, when my son was playing Mike, my middle son Dominic, we were having a great year. Not great in terms of win-loss. I mean, we lost a lot of games. We're teaching the kids. We're patient with them. We're having fun. We're teaching them sportsmanship. And we made it through 99.8% of the season doing just that. And it came down to, okay, it's the final tournament of the year. It was the Brockport. We hosted this tournament. So it was our tournament. We're playing against some team from Buffalo. And if I can try to quickly set this up, it's the third period. The clock is ticking down. So time is running out on our game before they call the curfew and the game's over. We're winning by 1 goal. If we win this game, we go to the championship later that day. If we give up a goal and they tie it, they go to the championship. So, we're trying our hardest to get the kids to protect this 1-goal lead. And there's a face-off in our zone. So those of you who know hockey, we got a face-off there. Problem is, they had just given us 2 penalties. We never killed a penalty all year. So this ref was this old guy. He's out there doing it for fun. He's an old guy doing it, and then a high school kid doing it. And they put 2 of our kids in, so we have nobody to take the face-off. And we're yelling from the bench, yelling to try to rearrange the kids, position themselves. The goalie's looking at me. The winger's looking at me. I'm trying to tell them to take the face-off. Well, before we could get our kids set up, they dropped the puck because the clock is ticking. And the kid on the other team shoots it into an empty net. We're not ready. They score. They tie the game. And people are going crazy. What just happened? Well, the ref comes over. He tries to explain it to our head coach, who is an even-keeled guy. He's trying to explain why they did it, and I ran down the bench. I was all coffeed up. Ran down the bench, threw an elbow at my buddy, got him out of the way, and started going up one side of this ref and down the other. I used some very colorful language that was really uncharacteristic of me at the time, and I dropped some words that I never do, and I laid into this ref and told him what I thought. When I finally calmed down and started getting my senses back, I realized that was an old lady I had just chewed out in front of my son, in front of all these other kids, over a Mite House League hockey game. I had just completely thrown away everything we taught the kids in a matter of 30 seconds. God, I'm proud of that one. Thanks for bringing it up. My friends that I coach they still make fun of me every time we get together, Dave.
That's one of my favorite stories, Dan. I've heard you tell that story before, and I don't know how you couldn't tell the difference if that was a male or a female. I don't even want to ask, but that is one of his coaching stories ever.
Oh, it was awful sportsmanship. And then one of the moms told me later on, she said, hey, my son came home. I thought I was in trouble with her. And she said, my son, we got in the car, and her son says to her, hey, Mom, Coach Dan swears just like you.
And that is uncharacteristic for you because the shows that you do, your comedy shows, are family friendly. I've been to one of them. 2 of my kids were there with me when you were in Hornell just recently back in January, and as young as my 9-year-old, and she was laughing hysterically. So all the work that you do is family friendly. Yes, and I do that intentionally. As a Christian, when I was starting out in comedy, I decided to do it clean and do something I could be proud of and don't have to be embarrassed about. And it's really turned out. I just did it, based on my integrity, so to speak. But ultimately, being a clean comedian has opened way more
doors and opportunities for me than I had really anticipated. I do a lot of corporate work, and I do a lot of church shows, and anywhere I go, I've gotten on cruise ships before, and it's turned out to be very marketable. Plus, I got some good advice early on when I was starting out from a couple other comedians to write clean, because it's better writing. It made me a better writer.
So you have a funny, we actually have a clip, but you have a funny story about your son when he played, breaking was it his wrist playing hockey?
Yes. And do you want me to explain the story here, or are you going to play the clip? Because he actually...
No, let's explain the story, and then we'll play the clip before we go to the break.
This is the son that I was coaching all the way on up, and then he loves hockey, and then he made the high school team as a freshman, didn't play much, so he was looking forward sophomore year to playing more, and then his sophomore season, during the first game of the high school season, in an open ice hit, he just kind of caught it at an awkward angle, and he broke his wrist.
Okay, so before we play the clip to go to the break, because when we come back from the break, I'm going to have my next guest on. Dan, I know with everybody in quarantine and everybody, socially isolated right now, you're not doing any shows. Where can people find your clips? Can they find you on the internet? Can they see or listen to some of the clips that you've done from some of your recent shows?
I haven't really figured out a way to publish them yet. I have a website, but it's very vague. It doesn't list upcoming dates and all. I go through Facebook. I have a fan page on Facebook, and maybe I can try to share some stuff out there. It's if you go to Facebook and you go up Dan Viola, the actual picture is just me, and I'm on stage holding a microphone, wearing a blue jacket or something like that, if that differentiates it. I know it's really, most people just give a Twitter handle. I just gave a description of a thumbnail photo. That's pretty dark. But, if we ever come out of this quarantine thing, you can look for me at Comedy at the Carlson up in Rochester.
I recommend, if you have not seen Dan perform live, please do so. He was here in Hornell, as I'd mentioned last week on the show when he was on. He was here for a fundraiser back in January for Care First. Absolutely hilarious. So thanks again for joining the show, and it's been a pleasure having you on.
This local sports show here on 92.1 The Team is brought to you in part by Rhonda Wilsey. Spring is here. Now's the time to buy or sell your home. When choosing a local real estate agent, choose someone with 2 decades of experience. Rhonda Wilsey has been helping people like you find their new home for over 18 years. Call Rhonda Wilsey at 607-382-4539 or email Rhonda at rhondawilsey@howardhanna.com.
Do you lead an active lifestyle? Are you trying to reach that next level in your fitness or active lifestyle? Stop in at Next Level Wellness in Hornell. Next Level Wellness offers CBD options that help promote muscle recovery and regrowth. Their CBD products are the perfect addition to pre- and post-workouts. CBD helps reduce inflammation, allowing you to recover faster from workouts. If you're ready to step up your training or take your game to the next level, then stop into Next Level Wellness or shop online at nxlevelwellness.com. Next Level Wellness, 10 Seneca Street, Hornell, or call 607-385-3188 for more info.
Have you written a book? You can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company. Countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their book to the market. Our professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, our authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books, like Amazon and brick-and-mortar bookstores. So make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Don't wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author and seeing your name in print. You've already written a book, so the next thing to do is make this free call right now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
800-482-8399. 800-482-8399. That's 800-482-8399.
It's amazing what a simple refresh can do to make a difference in your home. And Lowe's is here to help make it happen. Start by shopping our new wall tile selection with hundreds of mosaics, including modern blacks and blues. Marble mosaics starting at just $7.98. And finish off your project with dual scrub and stain-resistant Valspar Ultra Interior Paint Plus Primer starting at just $24.98 a gallon. Whatever updates you need to make today and every day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid for $219 U.S. only.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. You'll probably mow the lawn. Ask if anybody noticed you mowed the lawn. Tell people to stay off the lawn. Compare it to your neighbor's lawn. And complain about having to mow the lawn again. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance, which, of course, will go right into the lawn. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Welcome back to the Prete Is On. This is your host, Dave Prete, and I want to thank Dan Viola, comedian who was on our first segment of the show, was also on last week, providing some humor, some laughs, and some entertainment for everyone. God knows we can use it all right now, being cooped up in our homes and isolated, just completing week number 6, believe it or not, 6 weeks already of the coronavirus lockdown. And so I wanted to bring on in the second segment a young man who is a student athlete, a junior actually, at Hornell High School, and Jonas Scotty. Jonas, actually, I was going to have his twin sister, Jaden, on as well. She was not able to make it. So, Jonas, we can pick on your sister a little bit, talk about what you're doing, what's going on with HHS, even though there's no sports going on right now. We'll talk about that. But welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Jonas, you're a junior this year, and I know you played varsity soccer. You were named Livingston County All-Star this past season. Your team went to the quarterfinals, lost to Greece Olympia. You also played varsity basketball, and was a big part of a successful season for the basketball team. You were supposed to play varsity baseball. Obviously, the season so far and probably will end up being fully postponed. A huge bummer because you guys had what was looking to be like a state caliber team. Tell me what's going on. How are you feeling about this whole coronavirus thing? Tell me, what are your thoughts on possibly not having a baseball season, and what are you doing to keep busy?
Yeah, like you said, it is kind of a bummer. Our baseball team, we would have been pretty good this year. Could have gone far. If it does end up not getting postponed, I believe that we will do very well this year.
No.
To keep busy.
Oh, go ahead, Jonas.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, basically, I mean, keep busy. It's kind of hard, times are tough, right? I've been hitting a lot, really, and just trying to, work out, stay in shape, all that.
So I mentioned in the introduction you have a twin sister, Jaden, who also is a very good athlete. So I got to ask you the question, and you can give me an honest answer because she's not on right now. Who's the better athlete?
Oh, that's tough. I would say I am, but she's really good, all around.
Is she going to listen to this show? So if she hears you say that, she's not going to, get mad at you?
Yeah. Hopefully not. Yeah.
Do you guys have some friendly competitions going on, to see who's better? Do you have any, brag sessions, about you had a better game than she did, or, maybe you won an award, or your team did better than hers, anything like that? You guys do a lot of, smack talking to each other?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Because usually, both on varsity, we usually play the same nights. We come home, talk about the game, talk a little smack, after it, saying how you did better than each other. It's all in good fun, though.
Yeah, that's what brothers and sisters are for. I have 5 siblings, so I'm with you, man. So listen, going back to the baseball season, you guys were primed to have a really good season. You have a bunch of seniors that were going to play this year, and I know you're close with a lot of them. You got to feel for the seniors in particular, because this is their not only their final year in school, not only their final year of playing sports, but right now, here in the middle of April, almost the end of April, this would have been their final sports season, and they may not get that. Have you talked to any of the senior athletes? How are they feeling right now? Because, again, this has to be a huge, punch to the gut for them.
Yeah. I have been talking to most of them, and they're really down right now. It's their last chance to go out, win a patch, do something great, and it really sucks for them because, they've put in all this work, and then for this to happen, it really is a bummer.
Yeah, let's hope we can salvage some kind of season, maybe May 15th or right there about, which is right now when, the mandated restriction is. I mean, I think if schools are allowed to, reconvene at that point, you might be able to salvage a short season. So let's cross our fingers and hope that, we get some varsity sports in for no other reason, just to give those seniors that, that last hurrah. So you played soccer, and in which you were the starter in soccer. You were named, as I mentioned in the introduction, Livingston County All-Star this past year. Your soccer team had a heck of a season as well. You lost in the quarterfinals to Greece Olympia. Tell me a little bit how that season went. What do you expect in the fall from the varsity boys soccer team when school's back in the fall?
Yeah, the soccer season was great. We did lose in the quarterfinals, but it really was a great time with all the seniors and all the returning younger kids coming back, because we have a lot of people coming back that they'll be really good for us. And, we could possibly win a patch next fall.
And the boys basketball team, the varsity basketball team, was just as good this year. You guys, went to was it the semifinals, or was it the final in varsity boys basketball? And so you've had the opportunity then pretty much all of your whole junior year to play on some successful teams. And again, baseball would have been had the season been played. So what's it like to play for winning programs and have that type of success? And are you prepared mentally if you come back next year and maybe you don't experience some of that same success that you had this year?
Yeah, I mean, playing on a winning team is always like the best. Like you're out there, you're playing, having fun, winning games. Coming back next year, it is going to be tough to, maybe not be on a winning team, but you just got to push through it, and hopefully it'll be better.
And what are you doing during the coronavirus lockdown? I know, obviously you're staying at home, because, that's all what we're all supposed to be doing, and hopefully are doing. But what are you doing to keep yourself busy? And are you doing anything sports related? Or, I'm sure you have a lot of work that your teachers have assigned to you. I'm sure you have chores around the house that mom and dad have given you. But what are you doing to pass the time by? Because this is a really, really difficult time for everybody. And it seems like, the days are longer now because there's just so many things that we have to find to do to keep ourselves busy.
Yeah, to try to stay busy, it is tough, but I've been, going hitting a few days a week, practicing a little inside, like soccer ball, just to get touches. Definitely got to do a lot of chores around the house. Got to help out.
That's what parents are for, you know.
Yeah. You got to help them out. They always help you out for everything. And, schoolwork. It is a little bit tougher, you know. Everything's online. You're held more accountable for stuff, and it is hard, but it's definitely something that I'll be able to get through pretty easily.
All right, well, Jonas, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I want to check in with you again, maybe in the fall when soccer season starts. Again, you know, everybody's hoping that we can have some kind of spring sports season, and if you do, good luck with the baseball season. Keep doing what you're doing, and you know, just remember that no matter what, your parents are always there for you. Your classmates and your peers are always there for you. And even though this is a really difficult time, we're all going to get through it. And let's just hope and pray that in a couple of weeks or in a few weeks we see some baseball being played on the local fields. So thanks again for joining the show, and it's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you.
This local sports show here on 92.1 The Team is brought to you in part by Rhonda Wilsey. Spring is here. Now's the time to buy or sell your home. When choosing a local real estate agent, choose someone with 2 decades of experience. Rhonda Wilsey has been helping people like you find their new home for over 18 years. Call Rhonda Wilsey at 607-382-4539 or email Rhonda at rhondawilsey@howardhanna.com.
Do you lead an active lifestyle? Are you trying to reach that next level in your fitness or active lifestyle? Stop into Next Level Wellness in Hornell. Next Level Wellness offers CBD options that help promote muscle recovery and regrowth. Their CBD products are the perfect addition to pre- and post-workouts. CBD helps reduce inflammation, allowing you to recover faster from workouts. If you're ready to step up your training or take your game to the next level, then stop into Next Level Wellness or shop online at nxlevelwellness.com. Next Level Wellness, 10 Seneca Street, Hornell, or call 607-385-3188 for more info.
Have you written a book? You can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company. Countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their book to the market. Our professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, our authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books, like Amazon and brick-and-mortar bookstores. So make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Don't wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author and seeing your name in print. You've already written a book, so the next thing to do is make this free call right now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
800-482-8399. 800-482-8399. That's 800-482-8399.
It's amazing what a simple refresh can do to make a difference in your home. And Lowe's is here to help make it happen. Start by shopping our new wall tile selection with hundreds of mosaics, including modern blacks and blues. Marble mosaics starting at just $7.98. And finish off your project with dual scrub and stain-resistant Valspar Ultra Interior Paint Plus Primer starting at just $24.98 a gallon. Whatever updates you need to make today and every day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid for $219 U.S. only.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. You'll probably mow the lawn. Ask if anybody noticed you mowed the lawn. Tell people to stay off the lawn. Compare it to your neighbor's lawn. And complain about having to mow the lawn again. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance, which, of course, will go right into the lawn. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Back here on the Prete Is On 92.1 The Team. And thank you to Jonas Scotty for coming on last segment. So the next 2 segments, we're actually going to have a special guest who has been on our show before. He was actually on a couple of weeks ago when we did our NFL off-season roundtable, gave his off-season analysis and draft prognosis for his favorite team, the Buffalo Bills. who actually didn't pick until the second round of the draft this year. They traded their first round pick in the Stephon Diggs deal with the Minnesota Vikings. And again, just before I introduce him, I want to say that the show this week has been pre-recorded due to another obligation that yours truly had. I was not able to go live this weekend. So you're listening to pre-recorded show, which means during the time of the taping of this show is round 2 of the draft, so we're not able to actually talk about the Bills pick this week. We'll get to it next Saturday when we do our show. So I want to welcome the former head coach of the Canisteo Greenwood Redskins varsity football team, former Alfred University football player and Hall of Fame inductee, so let's call him the former Alfred U football great, and faculty at Canisteo Greenwood Central School, Paul Keeley. Paul, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me. Great to be on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. We're going to talk about round 1 of the draft, which occurred Thursday night. And, Paul, some weird picks, some strange picks. I feel like the first, 1 through 10 was kind of chalk. If you looked at a lot of what the experts were predicting in their mock drafts, that's kind of how it went, like 1 through 10. Anything that stood out to you? Let's talk about the first 10 picks first. Anything that stood out to you that that didn't seem like it was normal, or maybe it was out of the ordinary?
Well, other than the obvious of the draft itself not being normal, I thought my first initial thought was, what's this going to look like? How are they going to pull this off? 32 remote sites, the commissioner in his basement. It was just kind of interesting, to think of what this virtual draft's going to look like. And honestly, I thought they did a pretty good job pulling that off. As far as the picks itself, yeah, Dave, like you mentioned, not too much in terms of, big surprises. There were some speculation or some thoughts about will Miami or will the Chargers move up, possibly to that third pick with the Lions to draft the quarterback. But, it didn't happen. The Lions stayed put. They drafted the quarterback out of Ohio State, which was a need for them because they just dealt Darius Slay. And, the Dolphins ended up getting their guy and the Chargers got their guy. So the first 10 picks, nothing really, that wasn't expected. The one thing that you and I talked about previously was maybe the Cardinals. There was speculation about them, maybe drafting an offensive lineman, to protect Kyler Murray, but, Isaiah Simmons happened to just kind of be there at that moment, and that's a player that you have to scoop up, and I thought that was a great draft pick by them.
Oh, that's a great pick, Isaiah Simmons, and the great thing about him is he is an all-around good defensive player. They were talking last night, on ESPN and on the NFL Network during the draft, how this guy doesn't have one assigned position to him. I mean, he's listed as he's listed as a defensive back, but he plays linebacker. He can play safety. He can play both sides of the on cornerback. So to me, I mean, that was a great pick to the Cardinals. I'm surprised he went to 8 because in a lot of the mock drafts, he was, set to go 1 through 5 somewhere. The pick that I was a little bit surprised about, not because of the position, but because of the player, was number 4 to the Giants, Andrew Thomas. Thomas, definitely a top, projected to be a top 15 pick in the draft. There were 2 offensive linemen that were graded higher than him. One of them went to my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and who we'll talk about in a little bit, Tristan Wirth. But Thomas at number 4, is that a little bit of a surprise pick for you?
Yeah, and, in doing my own draft simulation, I didn't have Thomas going there. I had Wills go there, along with a lot of other people. So that kind of was a curveball, but there must be something in their extensive research and recruiting and doing their due diligence where they thought this was the guy that they needed at that spot. Now, this was a draft, Dave, that, was heavy on and deep on both receiver talent and offensive linemen. So it's almost one of those things where, could they make a wrong pick? They know they needed an offensive lineman. Could they make a wrong pick there with one of those four guys? Probably not. But we just thought, they might be picking one of those two higher graded players like you mentioned. So that was a little bit of a surprise.
So number 5, Tua I always have trouble with his name, Tagovailoa, the Alabama star quarterback, drafted number 5 to the Dolphins. Right behind him, Justin Herbert, the Oregon quarterback, to the Chargers. Not really a surprise there for either one of them at 5 and 6, but there's a lot of talk, or there was before the draft, that Tagovailoa could have slipped out of the top 10 because of that horrific injury that he suffered during the season. Do you see, any concerns there? I mean, you're a former quarterback and a former coach. Does that concern you, or if you were a Dolphins fan, would that injury concern you in taking him that high at number 5?
Well, that's a great question. It poses, a good discussion on this. The injury he had last year, season ending, it was pretty brutal hit that, took him out of the game, took him out of the season, and there was a little bit of, uncertainty going into that season with him because of his prior history of injuries. So he's he's got that background of, having a minor history of injuries, and you throw in this injury that happened against, I think it was Ole Miss or South Carolina. That was something that if you're a Dolphins fan, maybe you do have some questions about that. But let's not, forget that prior to that injury happening, had he come out at last year's draft, he'd be the number 1 pick, or if he was eligible to. So you got to remember, yes, the injuries and the injury history and some of those things might be on the minds of Dolphins fans, but honestly, I thought it was a good pick. I think he's going to be a good football player. Whether he's pressed into duty right away, I don't know. They still have Ryan Fitzpatrick down there for maybe one more year of Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic, baby.
And that's someone he can lean on and learn from. But we'll see. The jury will be out on this draft pick, let's say 2-3 years from now.
Well, the Dolphins had 3 first-round draft picks because of some trades that they made this offseason. Tunazol, they traded to Houston to get a first-round pick, plus the one that they had, just a regular pick. And then there was another trade, which it crosses my mind.
I think it's the Minka Fitzpatrick one.
It is the Minka Fitzpatrick, yes, to Pittsburgh. Yep. So they got the Steelers' first-round pick as well. Thank you. So they had 3 first-round picks, and they did at number 18. They did take Austin Jackson from USC, offensive lineman, as you said, one of the many good offensive linemen that were available in the draft. So they are trying to, put some young offensive linemen around Tua. I don't think he's going to start his first year, or if he does, it's going to be, later in the year. They'll let Ryan Fitzpatrick, probably start the season and take some lumps because that's what Fitz does. But still, I agree with you. Good pick at number 5. And number 6 too with Herbert for the Chargers. Now with Herbert, he's got Tyrod Taylor in front of him. The Chargers management and ownership say that they really like Tyrod. He's initially going to start for them. As a Bills fan, you've seen Tyrod for 2-3 years as a Bills starter.
Yeah.
Is he starter material, or is he just a guy that's kind of filling the spot until Herbert's ready to go?
Well, it's tough when you've had someone that's been in the league for, he's probably going on year 10 right now, and he's been a starter in a couple different areas. Buffalo, I believe he was starting in Cleveland before he got injured, and Baker Mayfield came in and had some spot time in Los Angeles. But I do think he is capable of being a starting quarterback. But I think he provides value, as a I guess backup or a veteran who's been in a number of systems. What it tells me about Los Angeles is that they don't foresee him being the long-term future of that franchise. So whether he Tyrod Taylor play for a season and then that turns into some sort of package for a trade or trading for picks after next year, it'll be interesting to see what their front office does. But to answer your question, Dave, I do think he's capable. It's just, I think their front office believes that Herbert or whoever would have been available, whether it had been Tua or Herbert, is the guy they want running the franchise.
Yeah, I agree. So Paul Keeley is our guest right now, and we're talking draft. We're grading and analyzing the first round of the NFL draft, and of course, because this show is pre-recorded on Friday evening, we aren't able to talk about round 2 and beyond, and your Buffalo Bills, Paul, didn't have their first pick until the second round. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that pick, and at the time of this broadcast, everybody will know that. Let's move to the middle round of the draft, 11 through 20. And I know for me as a Buccaneers fan, I was a little, I'm happy, don't get me wrong. I'm actually ecstatic that the Bucs got Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle from Iowa, because this guy is a beast. If nobody saw the video of him, he's a 300-plus pound man who jumped out of a pool onto the deck with like one leap. Like, that's how strong he is. He actually, in a lot of the mocks I saw, in a lot of the pre-draft analysis, with the top-rated offensive lineman. In fact, one of the gurus on NFL.com had him going number 4 to the Giants. So the Bucs get him at 13. They had to trade up from number 14, where they were initially slotted to draft. They moved up one spot with the Niners. Bucs gave up their 4th-round pick, which they had 2 of them coming into the draft. They traded the other one in the Gronk deal, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And they got a 7th-rounder back. So they basically swapped first-round picks, gave up a 4th, got a 7th back. I'm a little confused, though, why the Bucs at 14 would trade to 13 unless they were afraid the Niners wanted Wirfs. And if they wanted Wirfs, why would the Niners trade that pick?
Yeah, another one of those, moments that was kind of, what do they know that we don't? And, we are the casual diehard fan that will always be the Monday morning quarterback, analyzing the stuff. But those GMs and those front office, they have a lot more intel than they lead on or that they let people know about. So with whatever good reason they had to do it, they made that move. But Dave, you're right. You look at Tampa Bay and all the, off-season acquisitions in terms of speed, talent, explosiveness, skill players. They're not lacking there. Where they were lacking was, protecting and being able to run the football with quality offensive linemen, and it was a good pick for them. Again, any one of those 4 or 5 offensive line prospects within the first, 15, 16 picks, I think you would be okay with. But, this guy is just a dynamic athlete and just, freakishly athletic.
Yeah, and
not to mention strong. I don't know if you saw the video of him hang cleaning 440 reps or 440 pounds for 4 reps. That's extremely difficult to do.
Yeah, I did see that. He's freakishly athletic, and again, you have an older version of Tom Brady coming in. The Bucs do not have a great offensive line like the Patriots had, so definitely a great pick. I don't want to I don't want to look the gift horse in the mouth as a Bucks fan, but just a little weird to say, with 2 minutes left on the draft clock for the Niners, you see the Bucks move up one spot. Perhaps, though, a team like Denver, who was 15, or Atlanta, who was 16, had something in the works with San Francisco and Jason Light. The Bucks GM just felt he had to make that move. So I know the Raiders had a head scratcher and something that would kind of threw you off a little bit. They had 2 picks. Number 12, they drafted Henry Ruggs, the third wide receiver from Alabama, and then at 19, Damon Arnett, the cornerback from Ohio State. Which one or both of those did you not like for the Raiders?
So I would say the latter of the two. Not that I don't like it, I don't understand it. The receiver, Henry Ruggs was probably the third, right, Dave? Probably third receiver coming off that board that would have been predicted. Instead, he's the first, which, led a domino effect of Judy going to Denver and CeeDee Lamb just falling into Dallas, which they loved.
That's a great Dallas.
Yeah, so I think CeeDee Lamb, or a lot of people thought he might be the first one off the boards. Instead, it's Ruggs. But in terms of trading up, trading up to the Damon Arnett, is that his name? The defensive back from Ohio State. A lot of simulations or drafts had him pegged as a second or third round pick. So that was probably one of the most surprising moves in the first round of the draft, because this guy kind of came out of nowhere. He wasn't on anyone's really mock draft boards of being in the first 32 picks, and here he is at pick 19. Pick 19 for the Raiders. So that was definitely interesting move by Mike Mayock and Gruden.
The one move or the one draft pick in that middle round at number 20 that I thought was this guy was going to go sooner in the draft, and then a lot of the pundits had him going in the top 15 or just right outside 15. But he went number 20 was Kalavin Chasen, the outside linebacker for LSU, went to the Jags at 20. I could have seen him maybe going, to Atlanta at 16, or even the Raiders with that 19th pick instead of Arnett. But that's a good value pick for the Jags at 20. Now, if you look at 21 through 32, the last part of the draft, there's a couple of head scratchers that I had. One of them we'll talk more extensively about. The first one was at number 25, Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver for Arizona State. In no mock did I see this guy's name listed. I know he's a speed burner. I know he's got a lot of speed. He's not really big. The Niners took him at 25. He's a wide receiver. And then at 26, and this is the one I want to talk about in a minute, Jordan Love from Utah State, quarterback. And I'm not surprised he was picked in the first round. I'm surprised at what team he went to, the Green Bay Packers, because it has sent some serious social media buzz with the future of Aaron Rodgers now, and I'm not as worried about it as I think some are. I think this is a pick that they're looking at 2 or 3 years from now. I don't think he's going to immediately replace Rodgers. And then the other pick I scratched my head a little bit at was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back, going to the Chiefs at 32, and it's not because the Chiefs took a running back at 32, because that's about the right place for most running backs nowadays to go is late in the first round, early second. It's the fact that it was Edwards-Helaire. I know he's a talented guy, but, there were DeAndre Swift was ranked ahead of him from Georgia. Dobbins from Ohio State was ranked above him, as well as Thomas, is it? Jonathan Thomas?
Jonathan Taylor, Wisconsin.
Jonathan Taylor, thank you. Jonathan Taylor was ranked ahead of him as well. So that one was a little bit of a surprise. But let's go back to the Jordan Love to the Packers. What does this mean for Aaron Rodgers? Is this a signal to him like that your days are numbered, or is this kind of a pick where when the Packers took Rodgers, they actually took him late in the first round to groom him to take over for Favre, but that wasn't until, 2 or 3 years into Rodgers' career that he finally took over for Favre.
Yeah, so Rodgers was drafted in 2005. He became a starter in 2008. And the background behind that really was, Brett Favre, in 2002, 2003, was kind of having not retirement thoughts, but would always hint at it kind of at the end of the season. So the front office of Green Bay made a decision in 2005 to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And then ultimately, Favre retired, and then unretired, as we all know. But the keys were given to Aaron Rodgers. I don't get the impression that Aaron Rodgers is hinting on retirement. I know he's not on the right side of 35, but he led the Packers to 13 wins last year, an NFC Championship appearance. He's still one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, maybe top 2. It was really head-scratching. And if you look at his contract, he's under contract until the 2023 season. So that's 4 more seasons. This guy, I think, has a lot of quality football left in the next 3 to 4 years. Why aren't you getting – this is the deepest draft in recent memory on wide receiver play. Why aren't you drafting a receiver for him? I heard something on the radio today that in the 15 years that Aaron Rodgers has been a Green Bay Packer, they have never drafted a receiver in the first round. That's just astonishing to me. And this year, you have a chance to do it. And so if I'm Aaron Rodgers, what am I thinking? Right, not only do they draft a quarterback, they trade up to draft a quarterback. And they don't. And the other thing I found out is he wasn't made aware of this move until it actually happened. It doesn't send out good vibes, Dave. And I don't know. And it's nothing against Jordan Love. I think he's a good player. But gosh, talk about a kind of a hostile situation you're walking into as a new draft pick.
Kind of like deja vu, because I feel like it was the same with Favre. He didn't know anything about if I remember correctly, and it was 15 years ago, but he didn't know anything about the Rodgers pick when they took Rodgers. So, Paul, thank you for joining the show. It's been great talking NFL draft and all things NFL with you. I'd like to have you back on again real soon. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks again. This has been your host, Dave Prete, on the Prete Is On 92.1. We'll be back next Saturday at 9 a.m.